Good day, everyone. Today I decided to start to document myself because I would consider myself being in a pretty unique situation. And of course, you know what it's going to be. Everybody's talking about it. COVID-19 slash the coronavirus. And yes, I'm not an expert. I never claim and I never will say I am. I'm no medical person. I'm just a basic, simple blacksmith that observes things. But to get it into context, I live in a town about 50 miles from a town that has been put on lockdown, or a city, a small city. And a lockdown is a very loose term. I would say mild lockdown. Schools and I, public gatherings are, they would say, not very good, but try to avoid it. And yeah, so that's the situation. By the way, I disinfected my hands, so don't worry if I touch my face, it's all fine. And I'm on lockdown anyway, so whatever. And yeah, so my parents live in a house with a patient that has been tested positive. Instead of testing everyone in the house, they decided, no, it's okay, you can even go back to work. And I'm like, test positive patient. My mother saw that patient. They don't test her and decide to let her go to work. And she works as a nurse for elderly people. So what the fuck? I mean, sorry, we know for a fact that this virus hits the elderly way more significant than any other group. It's like, I don't know what else has to happen to fucking show that, you know. I cannot prove it, you know. I don't have reliable that. I mean, I think there's reliable data that in the meantime proves that. But let's just say we just know it by the death count that percentage wise it affects the elderly more. How the fuck can you let somebody that lives in a house with somebody that tested positive go back to work and help elderly people? That's so irresponsible. So my parents are in a lockdown too, like not forcefully, but in a way where they advise them to be in a quarantine situation. But my mom is still allowed to go to work, so that's very paradoxical. I think it's avoiding panic, and I understand that completely, and I will get to that point later on. But this situation is pretty crazy. So I decided, because I also had contact with my mom, that I will quarantine myself, and I had it in my gut because that town, their their um, their hospital is literally a quarantine. It's not a quarantine place, but it's a quarantine. Sorry, I'd say quarantine, but I mean quarantine. My English, it's not my native language. Neither is German. It's Dutch, by the way. I'm Dutch, so okay, useless information, but I think it's funny. Anyway, so my parents, they live in this city that also has a hospital now that it's only for this virus. And my mother was in that place too. So now she's been on two confirmed places, and even the RKI, that's like the Robert Koch Institute, declared that the Elsass, where my parents live, me too, has been declared as a hotspot. So instead of shutting everything down, or like shutting everything slowly down, what they may be doing, I'm not sure, since the lockdown of that city was yesterday, they let people still go to work. I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? I mean, just say no for 2 weeks, you know, just look if there are any symptoms. If you're older, it will pop in earlier anyway. So I have no idea why the fuck they would recommend something like that. That's fucking crazy talk. And I just thought I would share it with the world because that just shows the incompetence of our governments to the next level. I mean, of course, they will see themselves as we know what to do, but hey, you don't have to be a fucking genius to realize if there's a positive patient, don't fucking bring him with other people, and then even if they're with other people, don't bring him and mix him. You know, like my mom, if she's positive, will literally go and affect more elderly people. They will occupy valuable space in a hospital, and the same decisions will have to be done like in Italy, where the doctors will be like, there's a younger guy, here's an older guy, we have to decide because we only have one oxygen mask left. Bam, old guy dies, young person lives. Come on, man. Like, really, that's not nice, and it's not cool. So I think it's like you have to be reasonable. You have to also not only think about yourself, and I'm seeing that a lot in the States. Nothing against my American brothers and sisters. I love the Constitution because, you know, it's the offspring of us Europeans. But apart from that, it's like toilet paper insanity. People only thinking about themselves, and we have to avoid that too. Prepare for yourself, reasonable. You don't need fucking 300 packs of paper. Come on, man. And as Tim Pool pointed it out, I thought it was so funny. Are you going to eat toilet paper in the post-apocalypse or in the apocalypse, you know? Let's just go with this terminology, because for me it kind of is, you know. The world is still together out there. Oh, it's so nice and it's wonderful and it's beautiful. But I think shit's going to hit the fan before we know it. And of course it's not going to be on a grand scale where everybody will be affected. But the same way, like some more, some less. And with the percentage that we have from the data, it's 80%, I think, don't have symptoms with very mild symptoms. 15% in average are in like, they need to be hospitalized and have somebody like take care of them or something like that. I'm not quite sure, so please don't get on my back for that. And 5% being critical, like needing intensive care. So just keep the 5% in your mind with everything that you have on numbers when it starts breaking out. And then just take in consideration how many places are there in hospitals, and then you don't have to be a genius to just understand, like, oh man, that's maybe going to be off the charts very soon, you know, like, and I'm not a fucking mathematician, I'm not a genius or physician or whatever, you know, it's just a average blacksmith in the Black Forest in Germany. I used to live in Berlin, but it's a different story. So, yeah, watching it unfold, being personally affected in quarantine right now. Quarantine, please excuse my English. Quarantine right now. Chilling, have my dog next to me. I need to go out with him at some point, so I try to avoid clusters of people. And thankfully, there are not many people running around, but I live next to a school that I could affect as well, you know? So it's like, what to do. So I try to avoid it. So I go out when it's kind of darker, there's nobody outside, so I just peek out the window. Oh, Dad, come on, dog, let's go outside. And that's what I tend to do. And I eat raw ginger as well. I drink a lot, like every 15 minutes I take a sip of tea to kind of avoid the impact of this virus without having an immune boost. And I think Joe Rogan even pointed out that we need to get our systems up and running. So I did, my basic preparation was very simple. I just bought some, I would say a reasonable amount of canned food, but that's like my plan Z, you know, it's the zombie plan. I can eat that when the zombies are around because what else? But this virus is like the zombie from inside, you know, so I will have to fight it from within. So I will have to give all my warriors inside like a huge boost, and I will get that with a lot of tons of vegetables and a ton of fruit. So that's what I do. So I prioritize with the fruit. What fruit will last long? What vitamins are in what fruit? And then you need vitamin D and whatever, you know. So I just decided to start eating ginger and chew on it for a very long time, that your whole mouth gets kind of soapy, you know, because it will just, after a while, I think also help your I'm no medical guy, you know, it's just maybe some crazy talk from some YouTuber, and I don't give a fuck, to be honest, you know. It's just like my way of preventing my system collapsing because I didn't try to take the right measures pre-hands, you know. Like, let's say I got infected yesterday. I have 2 weeks time until I start showing the symptoms. So I have, like, I would say about 3 to 4, maybe 5 day period of, to increase my immune system. So, and that's not much time, but at least there is some time, you know. Like if you're obese or if you have weight problems or lung problems, I think that's also something you could consider. But there are other measures to take, and like avoid crowded places, that's for sure, you know, and wipe everything off. And even if the virus is airborne, and if you need a mask or don't, you know, if it can increase your chance just by a little bit, you know, let's say the mask provides a 10% chance of you not getting it. I mean, add 10%, there 5%, you know, it's like you will increase your chances. And hey man, like, it's better to have that measure than none at all. So, and just be like, yeah, we'll just sit it out and accept it, and hope I will belong to the 80%. But we don't even know if, in the long run, like what I've read from an Italian doctor, that it started with the ages 70, 80 average, and then starting to go the ladder down the younger you get. So I'm like 34, so eventually it hit me like, I don't know, maybe in 4 or 5 weeks, I don't know. But until then, I will do everything I can. Eating ginger, drinking tons of tea, green tea, whatever. You just got to do your own research, read a lot. My advice for now is just like drink a lot of tea and ginger. And maybe even, how do you call it, when you put water in your mouth and you do that thing, with salt. Salted water, it's also like a bacterial killing thing. So that's what I try to do in the morning and in the evening. And after every meal, like kind of be aware what you're doing, meditate, get one with yourself, like maybe eliminate a negative thoughts or whatever. And also consider the option, worst case scenario, consider the option that maybe you could also be the 5%, critical. You just don't know, So that's the danger thing. So I wrapped my mind around it, and I was yesterday very emotional. Like today, I'm very in a good thought because I went the worst case scenario through, and I even talked to my parents, and we made a plan what to do if the worst case happens. And it is still an emotional thing, but I will try to keep my spirit up, So, excuse me for getting a little bit involved in this whole thing when I talk about it, because I think we are not aware what it means to also lose your parents and your grandparents. And my grandma, she died last year, and I am at this moment so glad that she doesn't have to see this. The worst thing would be to see your grandmother die in a hospital that's completely filled with people where they prioritize young over old. Don't do that. So what we need to do, everyone, is take preventive measures. Try to avoid crowded places. If you have symptoms, don't go to work, just call it off, say you're sick, whatever, even take a hit, because you just don't want it to spread, to increase the amount of turmoil that can turn out, So, yeah. I don't know, man. It's just like, it should be also a very happy message, you are, with your mind, you can like start to assess things, prep things, be aware, go different scenarios through, and yeah, I hope that will kind of cheer people up, maybe give a little bit of, I don't think, it's not advice, it's just like thoughts, like blabbering out. Oh, I forgot to eat my ginger. And that said, I'm going to eat my ginger now, and chew on it, make it all soapy. And maybe it will help, Hope is it is valuable in a way, but it's not something that I would rely on, I would rely on preparation and information, But chaos and panic, man. My American brothers, as much as I love the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, fucking valuable document, by the way, and hold on to it, because we Europeans, man, with dictatorship, Europe, I mean like dictatorship, not in a way that it is a dictatorship, but what they do there, the parliament, fucking crazy, man, nuts. But yeah, and I hope Trump will get the right decisions, because at the moment, let's say it this way, I'm not a person that will say he's the worst person on the world. I'll also not say he's the best person on the world and just follow pursuit. I judge every action by itself. And at the moment, I'm very critical about what he's deciding, but maybe it's the same policy like we have here. Avoid the whole mass hysteria, because then shit will go down, and then the virus is the least of your problems. I hope you enjoyed my video, or my diary. I will be posting this, and also my personal health, how I gained. Maybe I will start losing weight, because I decided to also go into kind of a little bit of not a detox, but level down my food, my calories, that my immune system will grab everything, attack everything that can transform into kind of nutrition, and the viruses will be maybe nutrition as well. That fucking virus, I'm gonna fuck him up. We're gonna turn it into fucking muscle right now, something like that. I don't know, but maybe it's just crazy talk, But inform yourself what you can do to get your nourish levels up or get a fucking immune system boost. Don't rely on all the products out there because there's a lot of fake shit. And are you willing to bet your 5% chance? And we don't know, you know, if this will save you, help you, increase, whatever, you know. So put your mind into it. Think about what you're going to do. And always keep in mind positive thought and preventional action. I think that's a very good attitude towards this situation because the preparations with the doomsday bunker, as much as I would love to live in a Fallout world, I think with this kind of enemy that will slaughter you from within and you can do nothing against it, prevention means nutrition. So inform yourself. I hope this was kind of useful to some in some way. And yeah, this is just me blabbering. All right, guys. Take care and thanks a lot for tuning in.